I'm here tonight first to introduce Daniela Andrade. 11 years ago, Daniela, when she was only 12 years old, arrived from Mexico in Fontana, California, which is a working class area with a single mother and 2 young siblings. Her mom, who was a teacher in Mexico, had to work in a grocery store to make ends meet. And Daniela had to really get herself to school, take care of herself, and find her own way until she met Nicole Robinson. And here, Nicole was her dance teacher, and you're going to hear from Daniela how Nicole influenced her life. But just to tell you a little bit about what happened later, is Daniela went on to UCLA. She graduated with a degree in dance, and surprisingly, she is not dancing now, but she started her career working at Oracle in Silicon Valley and is now traveling extensively to Latin America, head of a marketing team for a company called Dark Trace. Has anybody ever heard? Which is a cybersecurity firm. So I will let her tell you a little bit more about that. But the really exciting thing was she did mention that maybe someday she wants to be a teacher.
Hello, everyone. I just want to thank Tim for being so amazing and for going to the school, because I think that you don't really know the impact that a teacher has until you see them in action. I could talk all day about Nicole Robinson, and now that I'm an adult, I call her by her first name, which is weird, because she's always going to be Mrs. Robinson to me. And she was Miss Atlas before to a lot of students. And when Tim asked me to come, I was a little hesitant because I'm not sure that I could do justice to the hundreds of students that she's seen. I mean, she's been a teacher for 20 plus years at A.V. Miller High School. And I don't know a single person that hasn't gone on to do something incredible because of Nicole Robinson. So today I hope I do them all justice, because it took a team of people to get her this award. And I'm sure you all think your teachers deserve this award, but I think that there's no one more deserving than Nicole Robinson. So as Ann mentioned, at 12 years old, my whole life was turned upside down. My mom brought me to America because she thought that my siblings and I deserved better. And I was a happy kid back in Mexico. I was a straight-A student. Back then, I didn't know about the drug wars that were plaguing the city, or the fact that my mom was barely struggling to get by. So when she brought me to America, I resented her for a really long time. We actually just started getting along maybe about a year ago, and I think separation was very good for us because I went off to college for 4 years. We moved to Fontana, California, a city that by no means was what I expected to be. I expected the American dream, everyone doing well, everyone living the lives that they're supposed to be living, and that was not my life. Fontana's nestled in the Inland Empire, about 1.5 hours away from the major metropolitan area of Los Angeles. Every person in that city comes from working families. The majority of them Hispanic immigrants like me, people of color, some struggling to get by. My mom got a job at a grocery store. She, a college-educated woman in Mexico working at a grocery store frying chicken. For my teachers would see her and they're like, I saw your mom at Ralph's. And I wasn't always so proud that my mom was frying chicken at a Ralph's grocery store. And although it was a job and it paid the bills, I knew she was unhappy. I was unhappy. Oftentimes, she was the harshest critic at home. Although she was loving, she accepted a lot. She wanted me to be perfect. Later, much later, actually, very recently, I understood that she wanted me to go places. But at 12, I didn't get it. At the age of 13, I realized that the less I was home, the better. So I asked my mom if she could sign me up for dance lessons. And if you know anything about dance, it's incredibly expensive. The town I was in, nobody was dancing. People were doing sports. They were doing after-school programs. She agreed. And although I knew she couldn't afford them, and that was when I actually heard about Mrs. Robinson at 13. So I've known about her for 10 years before I was her student. And every single teacher at this dance studio was a former student of Nicole Robinson. And, that's the impact that she had. Kids that could have gone on to do anything were teaching me dance for the first time at 13. No one starts dancing when they're 13. Everyone starts at 5. I was so late. I'm still not flexible. I still don't quite get it, but that's when I heard the name Nicole Robinson. This dance studio I had picked was stopped by former Nicole Robinson students who had taken their very first dance lessons from the age of 14 to 15. And now they're doing the same. They were paying it forward, teaching a new generation of dancers. I spent the next 2 years dreaming of the day that I could walk into that high school and be her student. In 2008, that's when the recession hit. My dad lost his job, the dance studio I was in closed, and I started high school. 2008 was when I took my first dance class at A.B. Miller High School. At a time when teachers were losing their jobs, the arts were losing funding, Mrs. Robinson found a way to give us what the government wouldn't, an outlet for self-expression and a chance to be a part of something good. You see, I thought she was just teaching me dance, but she was shaping me into the person that I would become. For many of us, she became a friend, a mom, a mentor. She gave us a place where we could forget the outside world. She would say, whatever is going on, whatever in your life is happening, leave it outside of this door. So I knew things would always be okay when I walked through those doors. She comforted me when my mom would not understand me. She taught me how to use a tampon. She gave me, a straight-A student, my first B. She taught me to say yes when the entire board said no. She said, you can't be afraid to do things because you think someone's going to say no. You can't tell yourself no. Let someone else tell you, say that no. So she took us on our first trip outside of Fontana. Most of us had never left the 10-mile radius that we live in. She showed us a big world that we could conquer. I saw the big city. That's when I first realized that I wanted to leave Fontana. And I wanted to go away for college. I knew my parents had no way to help me. And she told me that if I really wanted to, there was ways to make it happen. So senior year, the school district got rid of counselors. Mrs. Robinson helped me apply to college. She wrote me letters of recommendation, and she showed me how to get financial aid. Eventually, I would go on, and it was, 4 years of lessons. When I got rejected from my dream school, she said, okay, well, what's your backup? She was that person. She was like, you gotta adapt to life. Life isn't always gonna say yes. She had this saying for us, choreographers want dancers that are like plastic. You have to mold yourself because that's life. Life throws you curveballs. You have to readapt. You can't just expect to be one person. And that's what she raised us to be because she really raised me. And every day she would say, my dancers are smart. So she taught us to always adapt and to be the people that we wanted to be. So when I didn't get into my dream school, I was devastated. But I knew things were going to be okay, so I chose UCLA. I was going to be... UCLA was my backup. So I said, I'm going to go. I'm going to be an English major. And at the time, I said, I'm going to be a lawyer. My first year, I hated it. I couldn't sit through an entire lecture. So against my friends and probably my parents' better judgment, I auditioned to be a dance major. And everyone told me, they said, what are you going to do with that? I'm sure you guys are thinking, well, what kind of career did she go on to get? And I still get that question every single day. What are you going to do with your dance degree? But you see, Mrs. Robinson, she got a dance degree, and she's not starving. She's not a starving artist. And so I knew I wasn't going to go on and be homeless. So that kind of courage, I took it. And my parents actually didn't even find out what I was majoring in until they were sitting at graduation. And she told me, she said, I've heard that before. I've heard of parents that didn't really know what their kids were doing until graduation. So I just want to say that I live my life every day, and I think, would Nicole Robinson approve? Funny enough, I was just sitting through dinner and she asked me, where do you and your boyfriend live? And I said, well, we don't live together because when I was 14, she told me, be very careful about the decisions that you make when you're 18 because what you like at 18, you're not going to like at 25. So tattoos, not after 25. A husband, not until after 25. But what I'm trying to say here is that honestly, I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for her. Dance is something that gets overlooked. I know we have math teachers and we have science teachers here and engineers. I mean, I work in Silicon Valley now. I know it's important, but I honest to God believe that the moment you get rid of the arts, that is the moment you really are really losing it. So if you could please, we don't have, right now, you can't become a teacher if you're not a PE teacher. You can't teach dance. I would like to go on to become a dance teacher one day. I got my degree in that, and Mrs. Robinson, she stuck around for 20 plus years. It was supposed to be temporary, and she stayed. So please remember that we're not just here to move. We're not just here to perform. We actually are. We are good, smart people, and she is the example of that. So I want to say, Mrs. Robinson, thank you so much because I would not have gone through college without you. And I don't think any of the hundreds of students that share your Facebook posts daily would have gotten anywhere without you. So thank you so much. And I couldn't think of a more deserving person for this award. So thank you. Your check.
That's very important. That's very important. I want to assure all of you, there's a lot of dance teaching going on. These lessons, there's a lot of dancing going on, too, behind all of those. I just want to put that out in the atmosphere. And, that whole tampon situation, there's a reason behind it. There was a white costume, and there was a lot of complications. So I don't want you to be horrified. But I just first want to thank you, Daniela, for your kind words, and I'm very aware of her situation, and she was an incredible student from start to finish. One of the things that I was not going to do that. One of the things that we talk about a lot at Miller is the kids will do anything for us. So once we get them as a dancer, they will invest. And Daniela was fully invested. If I said, hey, go out, middle of the quad with a hat on and just stand still for 15 minutes, if she understood the process and what we were trying to do, she was in it fully. And you don't get very many students like that. So I just am super thrilled to have her here. We've had some great experiences. She submitted my name for Ellen for the 12 Days of Christmas. So her and I were on TV together. We got all kinds of incredible work. We got a cruise and luggage and cell phones. It was just awesome. But again, in that moment, just spending that opportunity with her, there were several other teachers there, and none of them had brought the students that had nominated them. And one of the ladies there, when I went to the bathroom, she goes, well, why did you bring your student? And I said, well, she did the work. She did the work. She's the one that made this happen. So how could I not recognize a college student who probably wants to cruise and wants to do all these incredible things? And so I thought, of course, I would include her in that. So just thank you again. It's just been incredible to watch you. And when she called and told me that she was a dance major, I just took a moment and went, wow. She's like, I just couldn't do it. She's like, I couldn't continue forward without having that part of my life. And I said, yeah, because you got it from the very beginning. So thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. This has been an incredible journey from going from not knowing anything about the Carlston Family Foundation to being here tonight and being treated so unbelievably kind, and the generosity, and just meeting all of these incredible people. So thank you to the board of directors for this honor. As a dance teacher, you work in isolation a lot. You don't collaborate with people, so a lot of times it's just me and the students, and so you start to think, am I valued in education? And so I just, this is just an incredible honor. The joke yesterday is there's always a crier, so it's me. So, but thank you so much for this honor. I could not do what I've done in Miller without just this huge support system. I have had an incredible administration. She mentioned the recession, and I had probably 8 or 9 dance friends who just lost their jobs. Sorry, we have no use for you. We don't have time for the arts right now. We have no money. And I was never threatened. The supplies and the support never dried up. I have one of my dearest friends here who's also an administrator, and she fights for me on a regular basis. She defends my program. I'm an incredible principal, and I don't know. It's, as my friend Jason said, it is an incredible blessing. This program is a gift from God. I have no other explanation for it. So just want to put that out there. And then my husband has grown this program with me. I started as a PE teacher who could teach dance and coach the cheerleaders. That's how the job was flown. And I had one dance class that was an advanced class, and then I had 2 aerobics/dance classes. You took aerobics for 9 weeks, and then you took dance, and that was enough to get you in the advanced class. It was incredible. It was incredible. And I thought, whose idea was this? But the principal said, listen, we want dance here, so what do you need? And I said, well, first of all, we need to stop this foolishness. But I had a bunch of extremely enthusiastic kids who had heart, and I had no intention of being there any longer than a couple of years. But it was students like this that I realized there's a need here for not just the arts, but a strong arts program led by a strong woman of color who can be an example to these students about what's possible. So that is... So as the program grew, there were a lot of frustrations and a lot of long nights and many nights editing music on the computer and just time away from home. But that statement that she said about let someone else tell you no, you don't say no, that's my husband. Because there were many times I said, well, I guess that's it. And he says, you've decided for yourself that it's no. Let somebody else tell you no. It's yes until you get there. And so just want to thank you very much for it. And then lastly, to my daughter, who spent a lot of time at A.B. Miller, she has hung out and played video games and lied on the floor of the theater. And so I just want to thank, and she's given me suggestions about choreography, and that dance is too slow, and that one was boring, and maybe you should try some faster music. And but I just appreciate both of you for sticking with me. This is all of us here today. It's time. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of investment. But we do it because of incredible students like this. And I didn't get into this for the money. But I don't think any of us got into this for the money. But there is something that is so incredible about watching a student who doesn't realize their potential find it. And so thank you all very much. I appreciate it. And thank you for allowing me to be the crier. I appreciate that. So thank you.